August 16th, 1977. Graceland Mansion, Memphis, Tennessee. Ginger Alden woke up at 2 p.m. The bed was empty. Elvis wasn't there. She looked around the bedroom. The bathroom door was closed. She thought he was probably reading in there. He did that sometimes. Hours would pass. By 2:30 p.m., he still hadn't come out. She walked to the bathroom door and knocked softly. "Elvis, you okay in there?" No answer. She knocked again. Louder this time. "Elvis?" Still nothing. Ginger opened the door. Elvis Presley was lying face down on the floor. His body was twisted. His pajama bottoms were around his knees. His face was pressed against the cold tile, purple, swollen, motionless. "Elvis!" she screamed. "Elvis! No!" Her voice echoed through the mansion. She ran to him, touched his shoulder. Cold. So cold. She shook him. Nothing. She screamed again. Downstairs, the staff heard her. They ran upstairs. They saw Elvis. They froze. Someone called 911. "We need an ambulance! Elvis Presley, he's not breathing!" The ambulance arrived 15 minutes later. The paramedics rushed upstairs. They tried CPR. They tried everything. But his body was already stiff, cold. They loaded him onto a stretcher and rushed him to Baptist Memorial Hospital. At 3:30 p.m., Dr. Jerry Francisco walked into the waiting room. Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, looked up. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. Dr. Francisco shook his head. "I'm sorry. He's gone." Vernon didn't cry. He just sat there, staring at nothing. But what happened next would shock everyone. After the ambulance left, Vernon went back to Graceland, alone. He walked through the front door, past the living room, past the jungle room, up the stairs, to the bedroom, to the bathroom where his son had died just hours before. He stood in the doorway, looking at the floor, the spot where Elvis had fallen. There was no blood, no mess, just emptiness. Then he started cleaning. He opened the medicine cabinet. Bottles. Dozens of them. Sleeping pills, painkillers, tranquilizers. He grabbed them all, shoved them into a plastic bag. He went to the bedroom, opened the nightstand drawer. More bottles. He took those too. He went to the walk-in closet. In the back, behind the shoes, there was a small hidden cabinet. He opened it. Inside were more pill bottles. Stacks of them. He grabbed them all. By 10 p.m. that night, Vernon had called the security team. 3 men showed up. They stood in the bedroom, confused. "What do you need, Mr. Presley?" one of them asked. Vernon handed him the plastic bags. Heavy, full. "Take these. Burn them. Tonight." The man looked inside the bag. His eyes widened. "Sir, these are—" "Burn them," Vernon said coldly. "All of them. Now." The men nodded. They took the bags and left, but Vernon wasn't done yet. He went downstairs, to the basement, to a locked door at the end of the hall. He pulled out a small key from his pocket. His hand was shaking. He unlocked the door and pushed it open. Inside was a small room, no windows, just shelves, and on those shelves were more pill bottles. Hundreds of them. Morphine, codeine, Valium, Demerol, Quaalude, Percodan. Some were empty, some were full, some had labels, some didn't. But there was more. Stacks of photographs. Elvis with women nobody had ever seen. Elvis looking thin, sick, hollow, letters, handwritten, from people asking for money, from people threatening him, from people claiming to be his family. Recording tapes. Songs Elvis had recorded but never released. Songs nobody knew existed. And in the corner on a small table, there was a handwritten note. Vernon picked it up. It was in Elvis's handwriting. The ink was smudged, like he had been crying when he wrote it. It said, "If you're reading this, it's too late. I really tried, but I couldn't stop. I'm sorry, Daddy." "I'm so sorry." Vernon stared at the note for a long time. Then he crumpled it up. He walked to the fireplace upstairs. He threw the note into the flames. He watched it burn. Then he went back to the basement. He locked the door, and he threw the key into the pond behind Graceland. Nobody would ever open that room again, but the story doesn't start there. It starts much earlier. March 22nd, 1957, 20 years before Elvis died. Elvis Presley was 22 years old, the most famous man in the world. Heartbreak Hotel had made him a superstar. Hound Dog was playing on every radio. Girls screamed when they saw him. Men wanted to be him, but he didn't have a home. He was living with his parents in a small house in Memphis. Fans would camp outside, day and night. They'd knock on the door. They'd peek through the windows. They'd scream his name at all hours. His mother Gladys couldn't sleep. She was terrified. "Elvis, this isn't safe," she said. "We need our own place, somewhere private." His father, Vernon, agreed. "Son, you're making good money now. Buy us a real home, somewhere they can't find us." Elvis nodded. He understood. One morning, he was reading the Memphis newspaper. An ad caught his eye. Graceland Mansion, for sale, 13.8 acres, 23 rooms, white-columned colonial revival, $102,500. Elvis stared at the photo. It was beautiful, grand, elegant, like something out of a movie. "This is it," he said to himself. "This is home." He called the real estate agent that afternoon. "I want to see it, today." They drove out to Graceland. It was about 10 miles south of Memphis, surrounded by trees, quiet, peaceful, away from the city. Elvis stepped out of the car. He stood at the front gate. He looked up at the mansion. White columns, large windows, a sprawling lawn. He felt something, a chill, a strange heaviness in his chest. "You okay, son?" Vernon asked. Elvis didn't answer right away. He just stood there, staring. "It's beautiful," he finally said, "but there's something about it." "What do you mean?" "I don't know. It feels heavy." Vernon laughed. "It's just a house, Elvis." But Elvis wasn't so sure. They went inside. The previous owner, Dr. Thomas Moore, gave them a tour. The living room, the dining room, the kitchen. Upstairs, there were several bedrooms, a large master suite, and at the end of the hall, a bathroom, huge, white marble, gold fixtures. Elvis walked into the bathroom. He stood there for a moment, looking around. He felt that heaviness again, like something was pressing down on him. "Elvis?" Gladys called from the hallway. "You coming?" He snapped out of it. "Yeah, I'm coming." That day, Elvis made an offer, $102,500, cash. The deal was done. On March 22nd, 1957, Elvis Presley became the owner of Graceland. But as the years would prove, Graceland owned him. Elvis moved in with his parents in May 1957. Right away, he started making changes. He repainted the walls. He installed new furniture. He added a jungle room downstairs, an exotic space with green shag carpet on the walls and ceiling, Polynesian-style furniture, and a massive stone waterfall. He loved that room. He'd record music there later, some of his final songs, but his main focus was upstairs. "I want the second floor to be completely private," he told the contractors. "Nobody goes up there except me and my family. Nobody." He had the master bedroom renovated, a huge bed, custom furniture, a television. Then he focused on the bathroom. He wanted it perfect, white marble, gold fixtures, a large bathtub, a walk-in shower, and then there was the room at the end of the hall. "What's this room for, Mr. Presley?" the contractor asked. Elvis smiled. "That's mine. Nobody asks about it." The contractor nodded. He didn't ask again. Elvis had that room soundproofed. He installed a heavy door, a lock that only he had the key to. Inside, he built custom shelves. He didn't tell anyone what they were for. In 1960, Elvis added another room, in the basement, hidden behind a storage area, another door, another lock, another secret. "What are you hiding down there?" Priscilla asked him years later. Elvis just smiled. "Memories." But it wasn't memories. In the early years, Graceland was full of life. Elvis threw parties. Friends came over. Music played. Laughter echoed through the halls. But by the late 1960s, things started to change. Elvis was tired. His movie career was draining him. He was making 3 films a year, terrible films. Clambake, Speedway, Live a Little, Love a Little. He hated them. But Colonel Parker kept pushing. "You need to keep working, Elvis. You need the money." "I don't care about the money," Elvis said. "I care about the music." But the music had dried up. He hadn't recorded anything meaningful in years. He felt trapped, lost. That's when the pills started. At first, it was just sleeping pills. Elvis couldn't sleep. The stress, the pressure, the loneliness. Dr. George Nicopolis, everyone called him Dr. Nick, prescribed him something to help. "Just take one before bed," he said. 1 became 2, 2 became 3. Then came the painkillers. Elvis had chronic back pain, an old football injury. Dr. Nick prescribed something stronger. "This will help," he said. It did help. For a while. But then Elvis needed more, and more, and more. By 1970, Elvis was taking pills every day. Uppers to wake up, downers to sleep, painkillers to function. He kept them hidden all over Graceland, in his bedroom, in the bathroom, in that locked room in the basement. Nobody knew how bad it was, except Elvis. And maybe that's what killed him. The 1970s were dark years for Elvis Presley. He was performing again. Las Vegas residencies, tours across America, sold-out shows. The crowds still loved him. But off stage, he was falling apart. He gained weight, a lot of weight. He was tired. He forgot lyrics. He slurred his words. People started to notice. "Elvis, you need to slow down," Priscilla told him. "I can't," he said. "The Colonel needs me to keep working." "The Colonel doesn't care about you. He cares about money." Elvis knew she was right, but he didn't know how to stop. In 1973, Priscilla left him. She'd had enough. The pills, the women, the lies. She took their daughter, Lisa Marie, and moved out. Elvis was alone in Graceland. Just him and the staff, and the pills. He'd spend hours in his bedroom, watching TV, eating, taking pills. Sometimes he'd go days without coming downstairs. "Mr. Presley, are you okay?" the staff would ask. "I'm fine," he'd say. But he wasn't fine. By 1977, Elvis was barely functional. He could still perform, barely. But offstage, he was a ghost. On August 16, 1977, everything came to an end. Elvis spent the night of August 15th reading in bed. He couldn't sleep. He never could anymore. Around 4 a.m., he called his doctor. "I need something," he said. Dr. Nick prescribed more pills. Elvis took them, but they didn't help. By 9 a.m., he still hadn't slept. He got up. He went into the bathroom. He brought a book with him. He sat down. And he started reading. Hours passed. Ginger woke up at 2 p.m. She noticed Elvis wasn't in bed. She called out to him. No answer. She went to the bathroom door. She knocked. No answer. She opened it. And that's when she found him. Face down, motionless, cold. Elvis Presley was dead. But the real story was just beginning. After Elvis died, the official story was cardiac arrhythmia, heart failure, natural causes, but the toxicology report told a different story. Elvis had 14 different drugs in his system: codeine, morphine, Valium, Quaalude, Demerol, ethchlorvinol, all at once. The medical examiner wanted to list the cause of death as a drug overdose, but Vernon and Colonel Parker pressured him. It was a heart attack, they insisted. Nothing else. The medical examiner reluctantly agreed. The official cause of death was listed as cardiac arrhythmia, but everyone who knew Elvis knew the truth. That night, after the ambulance left, Vernon went back to Graceland. He couldn't let anyone see what was really in that house. So he cleaned. He collected every pill bottle he could find. He burned them. He destroyed the evidence, and then he went to that locked room in the basement, the room Elvis never let anyone into. He opened it, and what he saw inside made him sick. Shelves filled with pills, thousands of them, photographs of Elvis looking skeletal, letters from doctors, receipts for prescriptions, and that handwritten note, Elvis's final confession. Vernon destroyed it all. He locked the room. He threw away the key. Nobody would ever know. 5 years later, in 1982, Priscilla Presley made a decision. Graceland would become a museum. People loved Elvis, she said. They deserved to see where he lived. On June 7, 1982, Graceland opened to the public. Thousands of people came. They walked through the living room, the dining room, the jungle room. They saw Elvis's cars, his gold records, his costumes. But they didn't see everything. The upstairs was off limits. Out of respect for the family's privacy, the tour guides said. "Why can't we go up there?" tourists asked. "It's private," the guides repeated. But that wasn't the full truth. The upstairs held secrets. The bedroom where Elvis spent his final hours, the bathroom where he died, and that locked room, the room Vernon had sealed. To this day, the upstairs is closed to the public. No photographs, no tours, no exceptions. In 2019, a man who worked as a security guard at Graceland in the 1980s gave an anonymous interview. He said, "One night there was an electrical problem. I had to go upstairs to check the breaker. I walked into the bedroom, and I swear, I felt something, like someone was watching me. I looked at the bathroom. The door was half open. I couldn't go in. I couldn't." He continued, "People ask me all the time, 'What's upstairs?' And I tell them, 'Nothing.' But that's not true. There's something up there. I don't know what, but it's there." Other staff members have reported similar experiences. Cold spots, strange sounds, doors opening on their own. Graceland is haunted, whether by Elvis's ghost or by the weight of his secrets. Nobody knows. In January 2023, Lisa Marie Presley died suddenly. She was 54 years old. Graceland was passed down to her daughter, Riley Keough. A few months later, Riley gave an interview. "My grandfather's home is special," she said, "but it's also complicated. There are things about him people don't know, things even I don't know." The interviewer asked, "Will you ever open the upstairs?" Riley smiled sadly. "Some doors should stay closed." "Why?" "Because some secrets are meant to stay buried." Today, Graceland remains one of the most visited homes in America. More than 600,000 people tour it every year. They see the living room, the jungle room, the trophy room. They walk through the meditation garden where Elvis is buried. But they don't see the upstairs. They don't see the bedroom. They don't see the bathroom. They don't see that locked room in the basement. And maybe that's for the best, because the truth is, Graceland isn't just a museum. It's a tomb, a place where secrets are buried, where the real story of Elvis Presley is hidden behind locked doors. August 16th, 1977. Elvis Presley died in the bathroom of his Graceland mansion, but the house never let him go. And maybe it never will.